Shalom, everybody. This is Universal Truth to Mankind. I am Dave, your host, and this is Kabbalah 101. Lately, you probably noticed, I started going through some of the names of the Creator, and I tried explaining them in a little more detail what they are, such as Ein Sof. If you haven't watched it, please do so. It's under the playlist of Kabbalah 101, Ein Sof, that's EIN space SOF. Watch that. I also did a video on Ethia Asher Ethia. When Moses says, who do I tell? Who do I say sent me? And Ethia Asher Ethia is who he was supposed to say sent him. Now, I'm going a step further, and I'm talking about the Yud He and Vav He, the YHVH in English that I'm going to be speaking to today. I'm hoping that through these videos, you get a better understanding of how creation was created. So you see how creation is well organized and well ordered, and that the Creator presents itself to us at various levels and in varying degrees, so that we have a better understanding of our relationship with the Creator and the relationship that doesn't exist before the Creator. We're supposed to have a direct connection to the Creator. We're supposed to have nothing in between. There's no intermediaries. There are those out there that preach that you have to have an intermediary. That is simply not the case. There is no intermediary between you and the Creator other than you. There are to be no other gods other than between you and God than you. Watch my video where I talk about big G, little g, also in Kabbalah 101, where I show that we are to be little g's with big G. And the only way we can do that is by drawing close to the Creator, thus meaning nothing in between us and the Creator. No intermediaries, period. Okay, so let me bring this slide up. Now, you've seen this before in the Ein Sof video and also Ethia Asher Ethia video. I've also used this video, I believe, at this slide illustration elsewhere as well. But let me help put things in a context for us to understand. Ein Sof, watch the video, you understand what that is limitless. There's nothing, there's total limitless there. You see the spikes there, a circle with spikes in it. That you could say is the uterus of creation. So creation exists within this bubble, this vacant area. And then you see the light was introduced into this. But there was light, darkness, light, darkness, light, darkness, all the way down to finally you have a tiny little circle in the middle that's darkness. So we have a nice picture of creation being birthed at varying degrees. We know that if you go to the second white circle there, and that says Keter in English, and that represents the name Ethia Asher Ethia. Then we go to the next one, which is Hakma. That's the second circle, and that's what we're going to speak to today. So let's take a look at it in a different way. All those circles are organized in this particular pattern. This is one of two orientations of this tree, so to speak, of the sephirotes. Each one of these sephirotes represents one of those circles. Now, we see Keter up there in the very center. So we're going to go slightly to the right and slightly down, and you see the word wisdom. You see Hakma. That's where the name Yud He Vav He exists. And that's what we're going to talk to today. Okay. So here's the third and final slide, and this is what I'm going to be speaking to. Chakma versus Keter. What's the difference between the two? Keter is the will of the creator. It's the thought, what's called the thought of creation. You can look that up. I do have a video on that as well in Kabbalah 101. And you can look it up online, look up in your favorite search engine, look for the thought of creation. And you can learn a lot about that concept. The thought of creation is the seed of creation. It's where the creation was thought of. For example, like if you want to build a house, you have to have an idea in your mind, the details of the house and what you want that house, what the requirements of that house is. That's Keter. Chachma means wisdom, as you can see here. And wisdom versus the will, you can view it as the designer. So in other words, wisdom is taking that thought and slowly transforming it into a design, into a pattern that's going to be followed through the entire tree. As the designer of creation, it takes all these ideas, or this one idea of creation, that thought, translates it into like a blueprint of what creation is supposed to look like. So you could say again that the Yud He Vav He, wisdom, is the designer of creation. I put it this way to help you digest the information. You can go further into this if you choose, but this is a good way to introduce yourself to this concept. It's also a description of the soul continuum. Now, I know that when we think of souls, we say, oh yeah, there's 5 souls. And so we think in terms of a ladder. Well, these 5 souls are just stopping points of a continuum from down here and going up, for up here coming down. In this case, it's up here coming down to us. If you watch my video called Eve to the Rescue, you understand that it really is a coming down process, not a coming up process. So it's a continuum. There's no separating points on this. It's like going up a ramp. It's a continuum. And this soul gives us awareness. It gives us soul degrees between the physicality and the ultimate of creation, or the creator. It also helps us establish a relationship. And that's the key here. That name, Yud He Vav He, is all about relationship. It's a relationship, a ladder that God is releasing down to us so that we can climb up to spirituality. So the designer of creation designed a means for us to communicate with each other and with the creator, and to learn the thought of creation. And because of it being the designer, we also learn what the eventual outcome should be of our existence. So now let's go one more step here. This is multidimensional. in its in its existence. And I didn't get to all of them, and I'm not going to get to them all here. YHVH is a rather complex, multidimensional existence. It's the best way I can put it. Don't worry about if you can pronounce it correctly or not. Some say, oh, Jehovah. Some come with all kinds of ideas. Don't think in terms of speaking it. Think in terms of what it represents. I've been chastised by people saying, oh, you're not pronouncing it right. Oh, you Jews, you don't know how to pronounce that name. That's been claimed. But when I say, well, I know what the main name means, do you? Well, it means this, it means that. I said, no, it doesn't. It means more than that. So let's go to the next one. It says here, I put it down as YH, Yud Hey, Yud Hey. It's Yud Hey, the two Hebrew characters. I use the English letters, so I don't have to worry about offending anybody as far as having it written out. But it's Yud Hey, not Yah. I've seen people go, oh, Yah, 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 Yah. They don't know what Yah means. Yud Hey and Yud Hey Vav Hey are not necessarily speaking of the same thing. Some think it's a shortened version of Yud Hey Vav Hey. No, it's not. If you notice, I put there Yud Hey and Vav Hey. I said that for a reason. Because we are working on something called a unification process of trying to bring the Yud Hey down and try and bring the Vav Hey up to connect to each other and create a Yud Hey Vav Hey. Now your brain has to say to yourself right now, wait a minute. If this is Yud Hey Vav Hey, and we're saying Yud Hey connecting to Vav Hey, does that mean there's more than one Yud Hey Vav Hey? Yes, indeed. I'm not going to speak to that. So when people mention Yud Hey Vav Hey, I say, well, which one are you talking about? Huh? What do you mean? There's only one. Read the Zohar, man. You'll see that there's different facets of this equation. So Yud Hey, let's go back one step. You see the top three separates there? The one in the middle, the one on the right, you got crown, wisdom, and you go all the way to the left and you have what? Understanding. That's Yud Hey. That's not the same as Yah, although you could pronounce it Yah, but it really is not the same. Yah is someplace else on this chart. So Yud Hey Vav Hey is speaking of the first fruits. What's the first fruits of creation? These three. Is this a trinity or triunity? I have a video on that. Go and watch it. No, it's not. These are a unity of three indivisible units. It's sort of like saying Ein Sof, meaning nothing and everything. Well, here what we're saying is, here's three that are not really three, that are one. So you can't think in terms of Trinity or triunity here. These three are one, and they're called Yah, or Yud Hey is proper way of saying it. They call it Yud Hey. And the Vav-He is us. We're created in the image of Vav-He. And as we correct our image and match it up to the creators, we reunite without any intermediaries. This is our direct connection. We become little Yud-He Vav-He's when we join up with the creator. See what I'm saying? There's more than one Yud-He Vav-He. There's a Yud-He Vav-He in the sense of the soul connection, the communications, reuniting, and so on and so forth. And then there's a Yud-He Vav-He in the sense that Yud-He is up here, and we're Vav-He, and we had to be transformed and corrected and changed. You can find more about that in my Meditation 101 playlist. And then we have to unite up, and we become little Yud-He Vav-He's, little G's versus a big G. We become a spitting image of our creator. In this sense, the designer of creation. I hope this helps you all. Thank you for paying attention. Feel free to comment. Feel free to ask questions. Even if I don't agree with you, that's okay. Don't be hostile like someone was with me about this. And this is Yud-He Vav-He, not what he was saying. You take care. Shalom, shalom.